Hey, Dr. Mike here. If you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, or maybe you just like a little bit of physical activity, stay tuned to learn the best nutrients to keep you fit and active.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. So, Dr. Crystal.
Yes.
You heard my teaser, right?
I did.
Where do you fall in that?
I am a weekend warrior. However, I Googled that phrase because I started thinking, what does that really mean? I work out, not just on the weekends, though, but I'm active, but I wouldn't call myself an athlete. So the weekend warrior is that person who works out, who likes to enjoy, physical activity 2-3 times a week. Maybe they're on.
So it doesn't just have to be the weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're not like two-a-days. They're not participating in like an official athletic sport like soccer or martial arts or anything like that.
I'm just consistent throughout the week. On the weekend, doesn't matter. I enjoy golf and I enjoy walking my dog. We walk in the morning for 45 minutes.
So maybe you are a weekend warrior.
No, I do it all the time. Doesn't matter the weekend. Come on now.
Dr. Mike, so weekend warriors out there, you are a weekend warrior if you engage in physical activity more than just like the leisure walk. I mean, you're exerting yourself.
We have a guest.
Yes, and maybe she can clear it
She's
up
going
for us.
to because obviously you don't know what you're talking about. She's going to figure all of this out today. Her name is Shannon O'Grady. She holds her Ph.D. in Nutritional Physiology and is amazingly well-versed in all things nutrition in the body. She's an athlete. Mm-hmm. Also, she's the chief product officer of Gnarly. I like that. Gnarly Nutrition. It brings me back like to the 80s. Gnarly Nutrition, a premium nutrition company that makes clean supplements for athletes in sustainable packaging. Dr. O'Grady, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I definitely have an opinion on your discussion weekend.
Yeah, well, please do, because we don't know what we're doing.
Clear it up for us, please.
In my opinion, humble opinion, you're all athletes. The definition of an athlete is someone who
that makes me feel
gets
good.
outside, exercises on a regular basis, not just because they're driven towards an athletic goal or because they're pushing performance, but because they want to move their body. Most athletes are weekend warriors just because we have more time, right? We're busy during the week. We have less time to exercise.
See how simple that was, Dr. Crystal?
I really like the idea that anyone can be an athlete, and it's just...
That's good. I like that, too.
Let me tell you, that just gave me a confidence boost.
Yeah. I know you. So you reviewing your stuff. You are an athlete yourself. You've done it. Like, what have you, like, because I know you've done things more professionally, right, when it comes to sports and stuff. What have you done?
I've done, I'm all over the place. I started as a runner, was always a runner in high school, got into marathons, got into ultra distance running and mountain biking, dabbled in Ironman. Just a little bit all over the place. And then about 6 years ago, a friend convinced me to try Jiu Jitsu, which is a martial art that is somewhat similar to wrestling. I think that's the best way to explain it to folks that might not be aware of how it differs from other martial arts. And I was hooked. I love it. It's great self-defense. It's great for women. It's a great community. It's empowering.
That's a lot of work.
I've
seen some of those matches. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I live in the mountains, so I love to get outside. But jiu-jitsu is kind of my passion, and that's what keeps me going as far as athletics go.
So why did you choose nutritional physiology versus exercise physiology? Because you often find in school the athletes kind of gravitate towards that field.
That's a great question, Crystal. So I started my doctorate not in human physiology or how it relates to sports. I started my doctorate looking at in ecology, looking at how animals that choose animal matter or plant matter, the physiological and morphological or actual physical changes in their gut that needs to occur for them to digest one or the other, and where you
Mm.
see kind of that divide across different animal species. It was when I started doing postgraduate work that translated more into humans and water metabolism and nutrient metabolism. So my doctorate is in nutritional physiology, but not specific to sports or humans.
Mm.
So take us on a journey on what you consider to be the best nutrition habits or nutritional components for athletes, which that's all of us, Dr. Mike.
Well,
All of us.
using that term loosely, sure.
So, I mean, I think given how hot it is pretty much everywhere right now, hydration is the first thing I want to
Yeah,
talk about.
good.
A lot of people think about, oh, athletics and hydration, that means your Gatorade while you're exercising, and then neglect hydrating throughout the day. But with any kind of exercise we don't really want to start in a deficit. And that deficit could be a
Mm.
nutritional deficit, it could also be a hydration deficit. So making sure you're hydrating throughout the day so that when you do exercise, you're starting hydrated and not dehydrated is
That's
really
pretty
important,
good.
not just for how you perform, but also for reducing the risk that you're going to be injured. I think that in that same kind of thinking or line of thought, making sure that you're fueled, so you're consuming high quality complex carbohydrates throughout the day from fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and then making sure you're getting high quality protein periodically, because that protein is going to give your body the amino acids it needs both to build muscle but also to repair the muscle from damage that occurred during exercise. So it's really simple, but I think when people think exercise or nutrition for athletics, they're thinking in this kind of very specific acute time period when they're
Hmm.
exercising, but it's really the nutrition throughout the day that
That's a good point.
plays
I like
I
that.
into how
know.
we perform and how we recover.
Now, the two things that stood out related to protein. So you mentioned high quality protein and you mentioned periodically. And that stood out to me because many people who consider themselves to be athletes, it's all about protein all the time. It's like have to have protein every meal. Let's load up on protein. And so I want you, if you can just kind of touch on that protein requirements, but also what would you consider to be a high quality protein?
Sure, I think that's a great question. I'd also like to point out, right, protein's added to everything now, right? It's cereal plus protein. You can get your oatmeal plus protein. So it
It's
is
true.
kind of,
There's a whole and where I go shopping, there's like an aisle now
mhm.
that's foods that are fortified
Well,
with high
I
protein.
have to tell you, and maybe you can correct me. I'm on the protein bandwagon. I'm buying everything with the
Now,
protein, the oatmeal with
hold
extra
on.
protein. Even
Hold
my
on.
my milk now
Dr.
has
O'Grady,
protein right on the front.
Dr. O'Grady, something you got to know about Dr. Crystal. She jumps on every bandwagon and usually pretty quickly jumps off.
I don't think that's a bad bandwagon to jump on, and we can talk about bandwagons later on because there are definitely good ones and bad ones. I think the important thing to remember as far as protein is that it's not a fuel. So, we are taking
Mm,
protein to support muscle recovery and building new muscle, but protein should never replace like carbohydrates in your diet for fueling exercise.
Mm,
But
very
the
good.
reason why we want to get in protein consistently throughout the day is because it keeps amino acids, those are kind of the building blocks of protein. It keeps those essential amino acids, which are the ones we have to get from our diet that we can't make on our own. It keeps those high in our body, which helps with muscle protein synthesis or building muscle, and also helps with repair, recovering from exercise. Dr. Crystal, you asked what a high quality protein is. And
mm-hmm,
really, it's how we digest that protein, whether or not we see all of the essential amino acids that are in the protein, whether or not we absorb all of them.
mm-hmm.
That's part of measuring protein quality. The amount of the protein that is made up of those essential amino acids. And then also there's a subclass of essential amino acids called branch chain amino acids. And those are particularly important for athletes, who means for me, means everyone that exercises, because those are the amino acids that actually kind of turn on the light switch for muscle protein synthesis. And then your body uses all of the essential amino acids to build muscle. So we want to get doses of protein throughout the day so that those processes are continually going on, right? As opposed to
Yeah.
having a ton of protein at breakfast and a ton of protein at in the evening at dinner and then neglecting it. So typically what I try to tell people is kind of what you said, like trying to get a little bit of protein in every meal or every snack. And for some people that might be drawn towards foods that are high in protein, that might be easier said than done. Or I mean, easier done than said.
Mm-hmm.
For those that might not move towards foods that are high in protein, starting small and being mindful of what you choose. Maybe your snack includes some string cheese this time, or maybe it includes some beef jerky or some hummus that also has protein in it.
Mm-hmm.
Just slowly adding in healthy sources of protein is a great way to make meaningful changes.
Can I just how about I just do some supplements? Like I mean, if at the end of the day, can I just do some branched chain amino acid powder or creatine powder? I mean, what do you think
Yeah.
about that? Like, how or where does that fall in for you? The
I
supplement.
think that's a great question too. We're all busy, right? Life gets in the way sometimes of our best intentions as far as food goes. A protein powder can be a great way to add whole protein to your diet, whether you're using it as a snack or you're using it post workout to really help with recovery. Branched chain amino acids can be super helpful. I think there's a misconception of how to use them. So branched chain amino acids should never replace protein in your diet. They should never be what you take after exercise, where BCAAs can be really helpful. As we age, it's harder to get in the amount of
For sure,
protein we
yeah.
need because we actually need more protein to turn on those, muscle building pathways. So
Mm-hmm.
BCAAs can be helpful there. They can be helpful if you're a vegan and maybe solely rely on plant-based protein, which tends to be a little lower in BCAAs. They can be helpful if you do fasted training, but they should really be used before you train because having them in your
Oh.
Mhm.
body while you're exercising helps reduce the degree to which we experience muscle protein breakdown, which leads to soreness. So I generally recommend people sandwich their training between BCAAs if it makes sense for them, and then whole protein after, because with the whole protein, you get the BCAAs that are just, you're choosing high quality protein like whey that are
Right.
just inherently in the protein, but then you
Mm-hmm.
also get all those essential amino acids that we really need to build the muscle. So if you were only taking BCAAs, you'd kind of be missing that second half of the equation.
Now, how do these suggestions vary for men versus women? Like, are there differences, different considerations from a nutritional perspective, and is from a um, just a general perspective when you're looking at working out, being active and fit?
Yeah, it's a great question, Crystal. So there's definitely a difference. I think Dr. Stacy Sims, who's an exercise physiologist, has done a lot of work on this and brought a lot of time and energy and people's attention to this issue. So, of course, we're going to see hormonal differences between men and women. And then within that class, we see, of course, fluctuations in hormones with women during the menstrual cycle. And those fluctuations in hormones, depending on what hormone is high at different phases in the cycle, changes what energy women use or tap into for exercise. So, in the follicular phase, which is after menstruation, we tend to really store carbohydrates, use more carbohydrates. Whereas in the luteal phase, which is right before menstruation, that's really when we're using more fats and also when our bodies
Oh.
start breaking down muscle to use for energy. And so, what you focus on in those phases can really help how you feel and how you perform. So, maybe in the luteal phase, to make up for that protein breakdown, you're really trying and emphasizing protein in your diet. But then potentially in the follicular phase, where we're storing more or using more carbohydrates for energy, that's when we want to focus on high quality carbs.
You're gonna do all this now, aren't you, Dr. Kristen?
Oh, look,
She's writing all that. You're gonna do this.
I am, but here's what I'm thinking. I think we need to have you back. We need to dig deeper on this topic.
It's definitely very interesting. You're listening to Dr. Shannon O'Grady, an expert in nutritional physiology and the chief product officer of Gnarly Nutrition. Again, Dr. O'Grady, we can go on and on and on. I think, how would you summarize all this up? Like, what would you like our listeners to know overall about exercise and nutrition?
Sure. I'd say, I was going to say this for females specifically, but I'd say it applies to men as well. We get in this habit where exercise is equated with weight loss. And I think we need to get away from that mindset. Think we need to think of exercise as a way to make our bodies stronger, to feel better about our bodies. Yeah. And to do that, you really need fuel. You need high quality fuel. So we need to feed ourselves to really exercise at our best. And I think when we do that, when we move more and we feel good, we start feeling better about who we are and how we look, and that changes how we carry ourselves. So I really want to change the conversation from this idea of weight loss and energy deficit and feeling bad about how we look to more of a conversation about empowerment and movement and health.
I love that.
And we're definitely aligned with that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Very, very good. Thank you for coming on today, Dr. O'Grady. We really appreciate your time. Where can our listeners learn a little bit more about you and Gnarly Nutrition?
You can go to gognarly.com. So GOGNARLY.com. Find, all of the supplements we have there. We're NSF and NSF for Sports certified, which means that all of our supplements are tested for label claims and contaminants. And then we have great blog articles on everything from mindful eating to, really feeling good about how you look and what, your nutritional choices are. We have some articles on female specific nutrition and, all the supplements in our line as well. It's a wealth of knowledge. So go there, explore the blog, find something you're interested in. And you can always email me at shannon@gognarly.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions folks may have.
You're listening to Live Foreverish. Don't forget, you can go to liveforeverish.com. When you go there, there's going to be a ton of other podcasts that you can download and listen and learn. When you do that, do us a favor. Like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a show. Right, Dr. Crystal?
That's right.
That's liveforeverish.com. I'm Dr. Mike. Thanks for listening.